Well, today I'm going to talk to you about unlocking your hidden potential. In his early writings, John Maxwell said that we only use 10% of our human capacity, our mind. He said if we could use 25%, we'd all be geniuses. He said also if we could simply double that and use 20%, we'd be working at an extremely high level. Now, I think if you use your 20%, you can put the rest of your 80% to bed and just let them roll under the covers and stay there all day and still be great. Well, there are several things I'd like to talk to you about as you unlock your unleashed potential. And so from that standpoint, number one is you absolutely must learn to focus. There's a cliche out there that we hear all the time, and it said, "Jack of all trades and the master of none." So that's why it's so often repeated, is simply because you cannot be everything to everybody. When I first got into business 11 years ago, I showed my business plan to a trusted associate, and he said, "Look at all these things that I can do." And he goes, "Gary, you can't do that." And I said, "Well, I beg your pardon, I believe I can." He goes, "Yeah, you might be able to do that, but you can't convince your customers that you can do that." That's extremely important. So learn that. You may have to drill down. When I was in graduate school, I read or heard a comment, and it said you have to have 10,000 touches to be considered an expert in any one given field. So I guarantee you, when I go to the doctor, I want that doctor to have 10,000 touches. That's extremely important. Now, point number two, I would say, is have role models. Find somebody that you can emulate. It's so much easier today to have a role model. You can sign up and have a mentor or a coach. You can sign up for webinars. You can go online and find people that have written bestsellers that are at the top of your field and learn to do those things. So have a role model. I was very fortunate when I first got into sales, and it took me a couple of years to actually figure out that I really belonged in sales. I was working for a distributor, and we had manufacturers coming in to call on us. So I had like hundreds of people come through over 18 years, and I got to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I tried to emulate the good and not emulate the negative people or the folks that weren't practicing their craft very well. My favorite was a friend that I developed named Roger Smith. Roger Smith was the consummate professional. He had a liberal arts background, but we were selling into the electronics field. He became like an engineer. He was so intense. He studied. When he went out of town on a trip, he would fly in on Sunday, camp out in the hotel to get ready for the week's calls, and it'd be extremely well prepared for anything that took place. When we went on a joint call together, he had such enthusiasm and vigor for the customer. He was great. He would look at me when we would get an opportunity, and he was like Sherlock Holmes. He'd go, "The game is up. We're on track. We're going to get something going here." So the other thing I would tell you is that unleash your curiosity. Have you ever noticed how when you're in a great movie and things are intense on the screen, you're literally sitting on the edge of your seat like, wow, what's going to happen next? Or you're reading a book and it's so intense, you're just flipping the page, reading as fast as you possibly can, trying to get there, trying to learn. That's what you need to do in this chosen field. Have a high level of curiosity. And we've all known people like that who never darkened the door of a college classroom who have done extremely well. I have a younger sister that got into insurance. She was 18, married early, was casting about for a job, and I had a friend that worked for Blue Cross Blue Shield in Dallas. And I said, "Why don't you go over there and start?" Well, she started at the very bottom clerical level at this huge company and then chose insurance. At one time, she was making a lot more money than Big Brother. So she focused, dug down. She had a high level of curiosity, and today she's vice president of a health insurance company in the Dallas-Fort Worth area after all those years. So she actually has those 10,000 touches. Now, the other thing I would tell you to do, and we all know this intuitively, you have to face your challenges head on. I recently read a biography of Teddy Roosevelt. And Roosevelt had a number of things. He had a lot of things going for him. He came from a wealthy family, great education, but Roosevelt was a sickly, anemic, asthmatic child, and he fought that throughout his life. He had to get out and exercise. He learned to box, to fence. He would get out and row and get in cold water and all these things. So he overcame those physical limitations. He had money. He tried cattle ranching out in the Dakotas. We had a financial collapse in the 1880s, and he lost his entire fortune. He had to face that challenge and go get a job. He actually got an opportunity to be police commissioner in the city of New York, and he was really strong after the crooks and the bad guys, but the guys that were running the back room said, "Oh no, Teddy, we don't like you as police commissioner, you're out." He had to face that challenge. He faced the challenge of going to war in the Spanish-American War and was literally a hero leading the charge up San Juan Hill. And so the guys that were running the state of New York said, "Why don't you run as governor? But you got to cool it, man. You can't go after all these guys." He says, "I think I can try that." Well, he did it, but he was after the Wall Street power brokers. He loved that job. He would have stayed in it. However, when it came time for re-election, they said, "Teddy, we don't want you. You're out." So what we're going to do is we're going to convince you, why don't you run for vice president of the United States? That's like the biggest know-nothing job with a great title. And he goes, "I'll do it." 1 year later, when McKinley was assassinated, he was president of the United States. He was one of the most proactive, get things done, face the challenges type presidents that we've ever had. And when they decided to commemorate Mount Rushmore to the most effective presidents that we've ever had, that was Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, and the only modern day president was Roosevelt. When you look at all those concepts, you have to bear down, pick a choice, have role models, unleash your curiosity, and also face your challenges. Those are the things that you'll find in life that will help you unlock your hidden potential.